Welcome to Same Cast Different Day podcast. I'm the host Martel Crystal here with my co-host Crystal B, and thank you all for listening to this episode. And don't forget to hit that follow and subscribe button where you stream your podcast at, and don't forget to leave us that 5-star review while you're at it. So, Crystal, before we get into my week, you got an announcement for the people?
We have an announcement. Yes, we have an announcement for the people. Yes, we do. First of all, you can raise your glasses and cheers yourself, by the way. Cheers right away.
Cheers.
That I actually will be having surgery this later fall in October. I'll be having my bottom surgery. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that. I'm not excited that I will not be on the podcast for maybe a month or so. So Martel's going to have to roll solo for a while. But promise everybody that I will be back. I'll be back within a 4 to 6 week period after my surgery. So hopefully sometime maybe Thanksgiving-ish, maybe 1st of December, hopefully we'll be back in action. But good news is, everybody, that I will still be around and possibly do maybe a few TikTok podcasts.
Woo!
So I will put it out there just as everyone knows.
So I'm so happy for that news, which means I have another reason to get drunk.
So I will be sending Martel a bottle of wine that he can pop it open
to add to my already collection of wine.
We'll give a nice bottle of wine, probably from somewhere in the States. We'll give a nice bottle of wine, and when I tell him, within that period of when actually I recover and come to and I'm not in so much pain, I will be texting Martel and be like, "Hey, buddy, it's bottle popping time."
I'll drink to that.
And when I say it's bottle popping time, that means you better pop some bottles.
I mean, I have a bottle of champagne behind me. I haven't even opened it yet. So
I mean, if you want to do that, and maybe
I'm pretty sure I have more by then.
Maybe make some mimosas. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe.
That could be a thing.
Really.
So, as much as I talked about a certain social media website, as of this recording, I am officially back on Twitter. So you can go follow me on Twitter at Martel ROWLAND. I did it to be more interactive with the listeners mostly. So if you guys have like any suggestions or want to shout out on the show, you can just find me on Twitter, hit me up, and we'll get that ball rolling on the show. So it's just to be more interactive with the listeners. So which is why I got back on Twitter, because Lord knows I really didn't want to be back on Twitter, but I'm back.
The good part about it is that I will be accessing Twitter once in a while. So if you see little weird comments or something fun or a lot of smiley faces, that would be because of me. So Crystal B.
I mean, that works for me. I mean, we might have to just create a Twitter account for the podcast and just let you run it.
That's fine. We can have a little fun with it, So, but we also have talked about possibly, I know that was the last few podcasts, we actually have talked about doing a after the show. So that might be coming up soon before my surgery. That'll be only on Apple, and you'll have to subscribe to that. So that'll be a little more in depth. Maybe on some of our former podcasts, maybe we'll get in depth on certain things. Maybe we will actually get in depth about what my surgery is all about and get a little more in detail, and people actually want to know a little more about it. But we're just going to leave that right there. We're not going to say no more on that because that's for those people that want to join the premium side of life.
Yep. And so far as my week.
Yes. First of all, how was your week? First of all, you got your glass of wine. I should ask the question. Being on the coast, Martel, how was your day? And then please tell me how's the week.
Okay,
going?
So far as today, I didn't do nothing I was supposed to do today. Today was my first day off since last week, Thursday. And I didn't do nothing I was supposed to do. It was like around 11 o'clock. It seemed like it's been dark here since like 11 o'clock because of the storm. Like it had rained so hard earlier that by the curves and stuff, and looked like it was like a river, like a little river going down the curves and on the streets and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I have no intentions of going outside today. Like today just been so it's been an icky day for me. And So I did for my friend, my best friend Mary, is getting married, and I finished her wedding video for her wedding reception. And after I watched it for the first time after I finished it, I literally almost boo-hooed a little.
Really? Uh-oh. Why is
I
that?
did. It was mostly knowing the journey that she came from and some of the deadbeats, I should say, she dated along the way to get to where she is now, where she has her family now. And it's been so many like late night talks that we had about how she wanted the perfect person and how she was looking for, her her forever person.
Hmm.
And to finally see it happen, it made me tear up a little while putting that video together and actually watching it. Like I teared up a little. It's like, oh my God, it's finally happened.
That's a great thing. That's okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? And I will tell you hands down, just because I'm a female doesn't make any men less masculine or whatever else. If they cry, by all means. I mean, I've seen my dad. I mean, I had an aunt that passed away not too long ago, and I can tell you right now, yes, it is heartbreaking. And my dad was like, I want to do this in front of in front of
Hmm.
your mom, and I said that's fine. It broke down inside of his pickup truck. All
Yeah.
right, let it out. It's good. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I let him
okay.
out.
Let it out. That's okay.
But me, moms are happy tears. I mean, I was so happy. If I could do a backstory of some of the guys she has dated over the period of time,
She's
yeah, but I'm not gonna get into all that because some of them are a bit explicit, a little bit too explicit for the
oh, okay,
podcast.
okay.
So
A
I,
little bit, yeah.
yeah,
Troublemakers. We'll leave that.
yeah, and some questionable ones, but yeah, it was just seeing that journey and seeing her finally happy and finding her forever person. It's
That's
it's
good.
it's amazing. So yeah, I was so happy about that. Her wedding is probably passed by the time this episode air would have been in past. So yeah, once that actually happened, I will let you guys know how the wedding went. Hopefully I can remember the wedding because I found she made the mistake of telling me that there's gonna be all you can drink wine. Everybody
Oh
knows
boy.
how
Oh
much I love my wine. So
boy. Oh jeez.
so it's like unlimited wine and beer and something else. So I'm like, well, I don't care too much for the beer, but for the wine, I'm like, hey, pour it.
So when I get married, Martel, we're gonna have all you can drink beverage bar with wine and beer.
That'll work for me.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm so for it.
Yeah. Hopefully I don't date no deadbeats. Hopefully not, or any kind of people that from your friend that she dated. Run into those weirdos.
It's crazy. I'm still I think me and one of her exes still follow each other on Instagram. So
Mm.
yeah. Although it's
Mm.
crazy. No, I'm not gonna get into it. Nope, I'm not gonna do it.
That's
I'm not
okay.
yeah, I'm not gonna do that one on a podcast. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't get into them details, but
Yeah,
yeah.
we leave the explicit stuff out for those people in those podcasts that want to do the explicit stuff. So no,
Yeah, hopefully one day I can get her to come on a podcast one day.
that'd be awesome.
So
That'd be awesome.
yeah, it's gonna have to be after the wedding though, because she's you know, so speaking so what was it? I want to say last week Friday, she gives me a call and she has this drunk friend in the background. And she's like, hey, do you want to come out to the bar? I'm like, yeah, sure. I can come out for a little bit. I'm like, okay. I'm like, so when I was on the phone with her, she sound drunk, but not as drunk as the friend. I get to the bar and then it's kind of empty in there for some reason, especially for Friday, which is weird.
Hmm.
But I get there and she sees me and she does like the drunk girl run with the air hug thing towards me. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. And then I got blamed. Then she had blamed me like, if I can't fit in my wedding dress, it's your fault. I'm like, how is it my fault? Like, you wasn't even drinking with me today.
What?
I'm like, oh, you wasn't even drinking with me today. It's your maid of honor fault for allowing you to do all this eating and drinking. Because I think they were somewhere, they had dinner and then they had drinks before I even got to the second bar that they were at. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of her fault. But then we left that bar and went downtown to another bar, which was full of old people. Well, I say like late 30s, 40s, 50s people. And then there was some questionable men in there. Looked like there was about 70 something that had no business being in there, trying to gyrate on some of the women in there. It's so funny. She was kept on saying, like, why aren't you drinking? I'm like, well, your friend already has hit on like 12 people since we've been here already, while she's like sitting on the lap of another guy. This is how drunk she was.
Wow.
I mean, this night was kind of epic though. It was an epic night. I mean, she did score some free drinks, the drunk friend. So and
drinks.
exactly. You can't turn down free drinks.
No.
So then she asked me, why aren't you drinking? I'm like, well, she's like epically drunk already. So it's like there's not much I can really do when she's like this drunk already. And then you're drunk. So I'm like, somebody has to be responsible one and drive home. So yeah, that was what, Saturday, going into Friday.
Okay.
And let's see. Oh, then my mother, oh my God. She harassed me for 2 weeks to go to Home Depot. And we finally get to Home Depot. And I was a bit upset because like she had her, or no more than, she one of those people like she has to walk around the store and whatever. So she wanted to use my credit card to make her purchase or whatever, my Home Depot card. I said, you really bugged me for 2 weeks for you to come up here and spend $5. I was heavily upset. Oh, Dad made it in.
Oh, hi, Brian. Look at those tattoos. Woo, I like them. I like those tattoos. That's Doctor Who.
I'm so glad you recognized it, because geez, that would have sucked. The last 5 hours would have sucked if you didn't recognize it.
To be honest, I didn't know what it was.
What? That's what the co-host kind of knows what's going on. Apparently, the host is like.
To be honest, I never watched any of the Doctor Who stuff, so I don't know.
Oh.
All right, I got to go back in, so I just wanted to pop in and say hi.
Hi, Brian. Have fun.
Right.
Have fun.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
So yeah, that was kind of my week. Especially, yeah, that was my week so far. The week still isn't over yet.
It's not. Nope. So that was our guest that decided to stop in and say hi, and he had a Doctor Who tattoo that he was actually getting to finish up. So that was nice for Mr. Brian to stop in for a little bit. So I mean, by all means, the podcast is always available for audience members, or if you want to just drop on in once in a while, by all means, we're
I will be creating a YouTube channel for the podcast, so all of the Zoom stuff, the stuff that you guys don't get to see, you actually will be seeing it on YouTube soon. It's like, I know I got about 10 weeks worth of episodes to put out there, but yeah. Oh, we got the countdown again. That sucks.
We do? I don't see it on this side.
Yeah, we do. They're giving us the countdown again.
Oh, because we had the two people in. Okay, well.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess we'll count it. Now it's. That was gone.
No, it's still there. We'll wing it, because like I said, we had nothing planned this episode whatsoever going into this episode, and we just know that we need to get an episode together. So here we are.
We're just gonna wing it tonight, and sometimes it's sometimes we do have topics. Sometimes people actually, and we always make suggestions on any kind of topics on certain things to talk about. This time around, we actually ran out of topics for once.
I know, right?
It's normally we have something going on. Well, you know what? I'll tell you what.
Well, we got the Pride picnic coming up.
You know what? The Pride picnic is coming up pretty quick. So now I understand that this will be until July, but we are actually still this podcast won't come out until July, but we actually have the Pride picnic coming up, and so they're going to be doing a lot of different events. They're actually going to be doing which is, I think is awesome. They're actually going to have a pop-up vaccine clinic.
I saw that I thought that was amazing.
And so they actually have registered nurses there to actually register you, and then if you want to get the first shot, and then you can they'll tell you where to go to get your second shot if you decide you want the 2-shot series, or you wish to get the Johnson & Johnson 1-shot, so whichever you wish to do. I don't want to force people to say to get it, but I can tell you that as Mr. Martel being in the healthcare industry, yes, you should, it's for the best of everything, not just yourself. I mean, yes, we still wear masks in certain locations. I still wear them inside gas stations and stores because I don't know who's vaccinated now. I don't know.
I mean, it mostly does protect yourself, because if you do come in contact with somebody who does has the virus and they happen to pass it on to you, there's a good 90% chance, over 90% chance, that you won't end up in the hospital on a ventilator. So it's very worth getting the vaccine. And then on top of that, for those who cannot get the vaccine, who's like 12 and younger, who cannot get the vaccine, you're actually protecting them also, because we need to achieve a certain amount of people getting the vaccine for that we can say, well, there's an immunity to the vaccine. And until we get enough people vaccinated, we won't have that immunity, which means we'll still forever have this problem with this virus going on until we get enough people vaccinated, which is why we need to get the vaccine. People need to get vaccinated.
And I understand there's some people out there too that might have health concerns, this and that might not be able to get it. They might have, I'm not going to really list them. I do know some people actually have serious health concerns that are not even allowed per doctor's medical condition, whatever it is. They are just not able to do it. They have to wear a mask, and they would love to get the shot. But until they can figure out how to make it so these people won't get any kind of repercussions or something happen to them, I understand.
And then also one of the things with getting the oh crap, with getting the my voice is not acting right tonight.
Have a drink.
Okay. Yes, I forgot where I was going to that because my voice went totally out the word. But yeah, it is very important. It is important to make sure that you do go out and get the vaccine. Just make sure that you go out and get it. There's always,
do it for all humankind. Do it. I mean, really, if you want to do something good in life, here's a chance that you can actually help people stay alive.
And then one of the concerns that I always hear is they came up with a vaccine so fast. I'm like, y'all got to realize once this thing started hit, they was already working on the vaccine. And then you guys got to think this isn't like the 1990s and the 80s and the 70s and the 60s or even the 50s no more, where it takes 2 to 3 years to make a vaccine. Technology has advanced so much that it don't take 2 years to come up with a vaccine. Now, it literally took them a year to get this vaccine out and get it safe and ready for people to be able to get. So it's like I said, stop using that excuse like it took them the vaccine came too fast. Like all you was complaining about a vaccine and how we needed a vaccine, but then now that the vaccine is here, nobody wants to. A lot of you don't want to get the vaccine, which I just think is pure stupid. So just get the vaccine and shut up.
Yeah, just do it. Just do it. You're saving yourself health. You could have, the consequences with this COVID is, and we don't even know the whole facts of it yet. There could be other health-like concerns. You may have a consistent cough the rest of your life. You could wind up with a heart murmur. I mean, there's all kinds of, liver problems or gallbladder. There's tons of things in your body that could be affected.
I heard a few. I heard of a few people who they have had COVID and recovered. My voice is acting crazy and have recovered from COVID. They have like breathing, like it's been issues with their lungs and stuff. I don't know if I forgot what it was, but it's something with their lungs that they're like a long lasting effect that it has on it, and then also on the heart too. I don't know. It's like when you have COVID, especially when we didn't have it with the vaccines. It put a lot of stress in your body. It makes your body not be able to. What it does is causes your body all this fluid to build up in your lungs. And when all that fluid is in your lungs like that, and then you're already weak yourself, your body cannot cough up that fluid, which eventually you're basically drowning in your fluids until you die. That's why a lot of those people end up on ventilators where the machine is doing the breathing for them. So that's what I said. People, you really need to take getting the vaccine very serious.
It's millions of dollars of costs, just alone. And like I said, that total, we're not going to get into details on that, but this is not a cheap deal. People can speculate all they want. It was made some another country,
If
or
you're one of those
what?
people who do not have health insurance and you end up with COVID in the hospital, just expect to be left with a $2 million bill. I'm gonna tell you that.
There we go.
Very sick. My mom went to. She had she has a blood disease, which basically it causes her blood to clot, and she went to the hospital. I think she had to get like plasmapheresis done, which is basically like getting an oil change of your blood, basically. And I think she had to get like 4 treatments of that, and the hospital billed her for over $100,000. And this is with insurance and by her, and she's a veteran, and the VA was fighting paying the bill, and they're still fighting paying the bill, and it's been like 4 or 5 years.
And your mom was even that's pathetic. She's a veteran.
Yeah, and like any they supposed to pick up the cost for that, and they didn't.
100,000.
So Aurora charged her over $100,000.
That's wrong.
And I believe she was only there for like a week and a half, over $100,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So people, you gotta learn how to do better taking care of yourself. I know after this wedding, I'm gonna start taking my fat butt back to the gym. Because I've been doing nothing during the whole pandemic. I don't even know how I survived the pandemic at this point.
Well, I'll tell you what, people have been surviving it by, if you would actually, you watch like the world news or their, US news, it's amazing the people homeschooling kids and the recycling bins full of beverages, glass and aluminum. And I'm amazed that we've made it this far, okay, from 2019 to 2019 until today, that we made it this far, and the alcoholic companies have tripled to quadrupled in sales.
A lot of people probably have to go to AA after the pandemic. They're going to have to go to AA.
and it might happen someday. We might be able to get COVID under control. Might be able to get it contained to the point of where it might only be a seasonal thing, or it might never happen again.
And then you know what I also think? I think if Donald Trump was still in office, a lot of these people who are against the vaccine will be getting it.
Possibly. But I'm wondering if Trump would have rolled it out as quick to me. And again, I'm not on either side of the line. I wonder if Trump would have rolled it out as quick as Joe Biden. And I'm just
he probably wouldn't have, but we probably would still. We probably have about 2 million people dead right now if Trump was in office.
That's probably what I'm thinking too. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm trying to think. Okay, this is Biden's first year in office. I'm like, I need to stop drinking.
Yeah, Biden's until end of 2024. Then he's got to pack it up, or maybe sticking around. I don't know.
Speaking of, so Tony Evers is up for election. I believe. Do we vote this year or next year?
Yeah, 2022.
We vote next year.
Next year.
Okay. Yeah. So he's up for re-election, and I wonder if Scott Walker is going to try to make another bid for governor. And I just pray to God and hope that he does. Like I tell people all the time, I can deal with a Republican person in office. It just depends on how much of a dick they are to me. And he's like the top of dicks in the history of dicks. He's just a dick.
I think he's the worst governor ever.
He was like, he got rid of all the unions. Like people can't even fight for their own jobs no more. And then like the only option you have to fight for your job is to go down to EEOC. And they deal with so many cases. It's like it's pointless in trying to fight for your job.
Yeah.
And then like I said, like the whole entire time he was in office, he did nothing for minorities whatsoever.
No. Mm-mm.
So
No.
it was like, why are people voting for him? And then even some of the people were considered, it was so crazy because like a lot of people who work for a certain county, a county hospital here, had voted for him and he eliminated their jobs. So now all these people are either forced to retire or they're being forced to retire or they have to look for a new job. And some of these people are like in their 50s and 60s who are, still depending on their job.
That's pretty
And
hard.
he put them out of work.
Yeah, that's not an easy thing. And now you have to it's like you got to reevaluate your life. Like, where am I going to go for the next? And I'm not saying that when you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, it's harder. Usually 50s and 60s, it gets harder because
Who want to hire you at that age?
Yeah, nobody really wants you. But do you have to go back out in the work world to something different? Possibly. You might have to go from a hospital back to maybe.
And like some of these people that work there, they was there for like 30, 35 years. Oof. And now they're losing their jobs because of him.
Yeah, that's sad.
That's just like sad. The position that he held before he got governor. He tried to eliminate that position. Like nothing he ever did ever made sense. Like since Tony Evers been in office, they refused to let this man do anything. But one thing I can say, he has been doing his hardest to fix some of these raggedy ass roads in this freaking state.
I mean, he's trying to do his best with what he has, and I give a lot of credit for it.
I don't know. I think that he might approve the project, but from going through from South Milwaukee to the Illinois, going into Illinois, we crossed the border to Illinois. I'm finally happy they made the highway 4 lanes. Some areas is 5. So I'm happy that they did that. They are doing a lot of road repairs in the city.
Yeah.
So yeah, but one thing I do want to see though is for people who don't live in Wisconsin, Milwaukee is the most populated metro area in the state. And Milwaukee contributes to majority of the state budget. Like majority of the state money comes from the city of Milwaukee or the Milwaukee County area. But when it comes down to back time to give that money back, for that money to come back from Madison and give it back to the city so the city can invest in fixing their roads or improving schools or, coming up with programs to help people, Madison doesn't give that money back. And I learned this from a person from Chris Walton, who was on the podcast last year, who was running for state assembly. And I have learned this from him. Like, I didn't even know that. Mm. And it's still a kind of an issue. So like,
so they're banking money and putting it somewhere else.
Yeah. So like when it comes down to like the school systems, they give schools so basically schools that get the most funding are the schools where it's really upper class people who parents probably once they're done with school and college, they have a job set of, making 6 figures or whatever type stuff. Like those schools actually get more money, more funding than the metro area public schools do. Which is sick.
It's pathetic.
You would think you would put more money into metro schools in the most populated area where you have the most, lower class people living, basically. You would think that you would have put more money into them schools, and they don't.
And that brings up a good point, because I remember watching a documentary on like some in Chicago when they had like complete like heat wave. Mm-hmm. And then what they did over time was a lot of these stores were in what they call the metro areas of Chicago, which weren't really safe areas. So these stores couldn't stay open because they kept on getting robbed or broken into, and this and that. So eventually they had to close down. So these people had nowhere to go. Like they had to drive if they had a vehicle, if they did, or a bike, and then they had a bike somewhere, maybe even a half an hour distance to get what they needed. And then what if you needed a frozen item or something like that? Mm-hmm. By the time you got home, it was no good. Yeah. I think that's true. Everyone should be. I mean, Tony Evers made a better deal with the private schools right now to give them more vouchers. Well, what's that doing for public then? Why don't we? I got none against private. I'm not against it. Well, let's take care of the public schools that the state runs first.
Only thing I have personally have against private schools is to me they throw out traditional learning, and and I feel like private schools have taken is the reason why public schools are failing so much right now, because they're taking a lot of students away, and then these private schools are getting this money and getting more money than some of these public schools and not doing what they are supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And they wonder why it's so many kids out here that's in the situation that they are. Like if a cop was to pick up, a kid off the street and that's supposed to be during school hours, that's supposed to be at school. I don't know if that cop actually, if that school person is enrolled in public school, the police officers, once they take them to the wherever they take them to, the little center they take them to, the police officers actually have access to see that child's attendance in school.
Oh, jeez.
To see if this is a repeat issue, or if this is like, oh, okay, well, maybe we made him, like, I know, like if your attendance is 90% or higher in school, they would just release you and let's send you on about your day. And if it's lower, they force you to stay there the whole entire school day and you have to do your schoolwork there. Mm-hmm. Compared to now where majority of these kids are in private school, I'm pretty sure that the police officers don't have access to those kids' attendance records. So yeah, I feel like private schools are like, I don't really too much care for them, especially a lot of these like Christian private schools, because at the end of the day, it's like you guys have the worst curriculum ever. And then to me personally, I have never seen y'all produce a successful student. So yeah, I don't like them. I hate private schools.
I'm more for the public schools, and I will always be for the public schools. I went through public school. I'm guessing Martel, you probably did the same.
I was a public charter school.
Okay, but still, so regardless,
it was still considered MPS. Yes,
still public school, regardless, even if it was charter. I mean, that was something new in the last maybe 15, 20 years. I believe the charter schools have been around. It's not like this has been
now. 30 plus years. I am for charter schools because, like I said, I actually enjoy my time in charter schools. I don't know if I talked about it on the podcast before, but when I was in charter, so the charter school that I originally went to, it was located inside North Division, but the name of the school was called Truth Institute for Leadership and Service. And during my time there, I can honestly say I never had more than 25 kids in my class.
Oh, wow.
Never. It was always a small class. The teachers were hand-on. I had this teacher named Miss Hall, and she was my math teacher. And like, I believe I might have said this on the podcast before, but I was going to school at UWM, and I had inboxed her. I had inboxed her on Facebook one day, and I said, how did you know that I was a hands-on learner? Like, I need to be engaged and paying attention in order for me to learn the material. And she was like, it's my job as a teacher to know that for every individual student. So imagine being, so that was when I was, then later on during I say pretty towards the end of my senior year, it was about after the first semester, they decided to merge the school back into just one huge school again. Oh. And then, so in one of my classes, I ended up having 56 students in one class.
What?
With one teacher. So you think that one teacher is going to be able to have the time to, especially if it's a rowdy class, going to have the time to try to get the class settled down, learn each 56 child, each of the 56 kids in that class, the way they learn and their learning style or whatever, is hard.
56, that is like, I mean, I've seen 20 and 30, in some of my classes, but
yeah, we had 56 in that class.
That's nuts. I mean, to the point of, I could see limiting how many kids per classroom. No, that's something that probably.
But because MPS, basically cut so much. Well, since the state cut so much money from MPS, they had less teachers, which means we got all these students, so we have to put them somewhere.
Oh, jeez.
And like I said, then at this point, it had got to the point where basically only extracurricular class that you had was gym. There was no. They were trying to cut art class. I think the most they might have gave us, what as far as art, was like calligraphy, which is like you had to dip the little thing in the ink and write with the like the how they did back in like the 1700s and stuff like that. So other than that, we didn't really have any art classes. We didn't have, the computer classes, or we didn't have home ec, none of that stuff, driver's ed, none of that stuff was available for us. So it because I feel like the rise in public schools taking away the funding from the rise in private schools take away funding from public schools has made it very hard for public schools to be able to make school fun and worth going. And that's why I feel like a lot of kids do not go to school no more, because school doesn't have that, nothing to offer.
No.
I mean, yeah, you go to get your education and learn so that you can graduate and go on to college, but then for those kids who necessarily don't like school or don't have an itch for school, it's like, what do you do to make them want to come to school?
I mean, art class is essential, home ec, definitely, even computer skills classes, stuff like that.
Like for kids, like journalism stuff, like there's no journalism stuff, no school newspaper, nothing. There was nothing for kids. So I don't know how it is. I can't imagine by now it's even more worse.
And
it's like you got your basic, you got your math, science, probably English and social studies, and then you take gym and graduate. And that's about it, probably.
Just think the early 2000s when all that stuff kind of started fading away. That's too bad.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
So I feel like, by the time I graduated high school, I feel like the public school system set us up to fail, because it was like when we finally got out into the real world, we didn't know anything. We didn't know basic survival skills. We didn't know how to do some certain things. Like, they didn't teach us how to do a resume or how to prepare us for going to look for a job. They didn't really prepare us for college. So when we got to college, everything seemed so foreign, because like I feel like some of the stuff that I was taught in public school, by the time when I got to college, it was like everything they taught you in public school was wrong.
So they just taught you the basics, but they didn't get into details as to everything else.
Exactly. So it was like, once I got to college, I'm like, wow, like literally everything I learned was completely wrong. And like, even when I took a history class, like, and I had to take this class twice because I failed the first time. And I took this history class, and it was on American history. And I was like, I never learned any of this stuff. Like they even taught us about the different battles during the, when America was like fighting for the independence. They told us about different battles during the Civil War. I'm like, they taught us none of this. Nothing.
So okay, being from your generation, my question is that, do you think because of not being taught certain essential things through middle school and high school, would that relate to all the craziness and rioting and everything else going on because of not being educated correctly? And not getting the proper, I'm not going to say every kid, but I think every individual kid probably needed that creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Because my child is 20 years old and his creativity is playing video games. If I were to give him a pen and paper, okay, and tell him when I was younger, I would draw stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a very good job when I was younger drawing stuff. And don't get wrong, my electronics are nice.
I mean, I had a sketch pad. Like, we still had video games during my era, but when I got bored, so I didn't have a sketch pad with draw stuff.
And I think, to me, that's the best thing in the world. If you could take what you did as a child and actually incorporate that into your life,
mm-hmm.
maybe look at really what happened. I understand there's riotings and stuff like that. To me, I got nothing against a protest. So you guys want to get out there and march against, if it was a union thing or something was wrong, or something with, even George Floyd, as an example, not to be the example of person, you
Mhm.
know, what about Rodney King back in the 90s? I mean, that was another one back in
But
Los Angeles, you know?
but the difference between, because I believe even with your generation and my generation was taught the same thing. We see difference between us and I think the generation I say probably that was born in like probably 2000s and older.
Mhm.
The difference between us and them is that we understand that we have to work for what we want.
Yes.
And with them, they feel they're entitled to things. Like things should just be handed to them. Like they don't want to put in the work for things. And
Mhm.
that's the problem difference between us and I feel like us and them.
And don't go. I do know some 18 to 22-year-olds that are hardworking like you will not believe.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying
They're,
all of them.
but and then I understand my kid is a little bit autistic. Okay, with COVID, we're not making him get a job.
Mm-hmm.
Once COVID is under control, he's going to have to work a part-time job. It
Right.
doesn't. Okay, listen. It doesn't make a difference. Who you are. You could have been in a car accident. You could have. Some bad could happen. Okay. There's
Mm-hmm.
always most companies or businesses are willing to work with people. Okay. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's why you have the equal opportunity employment in America.
Right.
So any employer is willing to work with you. Okay. Even if you're partially handicapped, or if you have a problem, or you can only work a few hours a day or a week. You know what? Anybody can do it.
That is
Anybody.
true.
Anybody can. I've talked to enough people that live off state funded funds, and that they can work. They can.
Right.
But do they put the effort into it? Just like these young kids that are entitled to? No. They just figure they're entitled to money, free money.
Exactly. And which I think is complete chaos. But yeah, like I said, they like yes, yeah, they always feel like they're entitled, like they don't have to work for anything. Like I said, like for the ones who do play video games, like yeah, like if you're like I know for the NBA 2K franchise, like they have actual esports where you can get drafted into a virtual NBA team and actually make a career and a living off of playing that video game. I mean, you
Oh,
have to be
really?
pretty damn good. Yeah, you have to be pretty damn good. But yeah, like, or you got people who make money off for streaming video games, like
Oh,
people
yeah.
who do
Mhm.
like the role playing community on Twitch and stuff. So their career, they have more. To me, this generation now, especially since they even more technology shabby, because there are even some technology stuff that I don't still don't understand. But with the technology, like they grew up with this whole with all this tech generation stuff.
Yeah.
So they can basically they can have these skills and can make careers off of doing not really even going to college anymore. Like for me and your generation, we was taught like, hey, the only way to be successful and have a successful career is either you start your own business or you go to college.
Pretty
Pretty
much.
much.
Mhm.
And that's how it
Same thing for
was.
me. Same thing. Or get a job and work your way up the ranks. That's about it.
Exactly. But somewhere along the line, working your way up though, you still got to go to college, at least go to take some type of college courses along the way
Mhm.
in order to get that promotion that you want or so on.
Mhm.
Compared to this next generation where, hey, if I just become, internet famous, I can make a whole career off of being an influencer.
Yeah.
And they're doing it.
And they're making money. These kids are, there's kids 10, 12 years old that are millionaires.
Yeah, off of
That
being
do,
social media influencers.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy, I mean, you started a podcast. I get to join in, I get to join as co-host,
Mm-hmm.
due to the former, she's busy in life and everything else. I would love to see this thing take off like a rocket and start making some money. By all means. What I do for a living and what you do for a living, to be honest with you, if we had a podcast for, whatever, if we had to do this 2-3 times a week for maybe a few hours in a day
Mm-hmm.
and get paid for it, by all means, I will hang up my full-time job and do this. You can
Yeah.
guarantee it. I will hang it up and say, I wish you the best. But you know what? I'm making a decent amount of money podcasting now, and I really don't need to, I don't need this,
Exactly. And like I told people, like I have tried so many things, which I was gonna get into next episode, but we have about 5 minutes left. So I'm gonna try to get to it real quick. I've been telling people that one of the things that I do realize I like to do, and like I like talking, and I like getting to new people, getting to know new people, and I like telling stories, and I like doing this. And I said, this is something I can see myself making a career off doing, and I enjoy doing it. And like some people some people be like, well, why don't you just do it full time? Like I do it full time, and I work full time also. Like I got to support myself. I'm not one of those people who will just quit their job and then not have a backup plan. Like my job is my backup plan. That's why I still work and do this, because that is where, so if something doesn't work out, I still have my job. I can still feed and take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to some, like I have seen some people, a lot of people, and I've been seeing them on social media, and they will quit their job saying, I'm going to go pursue this. And then 5-6 months later, they don't exhausted all their money. And then now they're on Facebook, trying to pull everything back together again. And I said, I don't want to be one of those people.
It's not good.
I'm not trying to discourage people from going after their dreams. Go after them. Go conquer your dreams. Go do it. But make sure, and I'm not saying like some people like, if you have a backup plan, that's like setting yourself up to fail. I'm like, no, it isn't. It's setting yourself up so you don't be homeless.
Yeah.
And I refuse to be homeless.
Yeah, none of us should be that. I mean, yeah, when that time comes, and who knows, maybe it'll be to the point where maybe the full-time job that that each of us have right now, maybe it'll be just part-time jobs, because maybe the podcast will make that other 50% of it, And so then we've now conquered the one hill or one mountain. Mm-hmm. Now we need to conquer one or two more to get there, and that could happen. I love that. This is awesome. I've always wanted to be like a DJ. The podcast thing, I thought it never really, I was a guest like 2 or 3 times on your, on your show. And I was like, gosh, this is really a lot of fun, but I'm like, I didn't really. And then when I kind of decided to take the step and ask you, and it was like, I love it. People are hearing me. We're constantly getting new listeners, and I always tell people, share this with your friends, your family, even your coworkers,
Right.
Even if you're randomly, listen to some podcast and you're say you're let's just say you're on a train somewhere, maybe you're in a large metro city, Chicago, Atlanta, maybe out in California, and maybe you're instead of you got one earbud in and the other one you're listening, and you're like, gosh, this is really good, this and that, and maybe someone next to you or in the area be like, hey, what are you listening to? And you can tell them you listen to the same cast, different day podcast. You'd be like, check it out. When you get home, go stream it. Get on your electronic device. Check it out. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Word of mouth can go a long way.
Right. And I do this for the people, like, because for a while I felt like I was doing too much reporting on what was going on in pop culture, and I'm like, people don't want to hear that all the time. So when I'm doing these, I'm trying to do this for the everyday person who's listening, for the person who's in the same situation as me, probably, and there might be somebody who's struggling with some type of issue right now. They can hear this podcast and it'll bring them out of that darkness. So this is why I do this. I enjoy doing this right here.
And we're the only podcasting that actually has a host that is gay and a co-host that's transgender. Where there's nothing. We're not trying to top the top. Okay, we're just human beings. Okay, and we're all human beings. Last I checked, we're also human beings. But it's nice to get a fresh perspective on what's going on. When I have my surgery, when I'm going to be in another state, by all means, maybe we will get into some details about things going on out there or where else. Maybe we'll talk about the local culture out there. I don't know, who knows what, with the podcasting, we never really know what's going to happen, but.
Oh, since we almost got less than a minute left, I just want to let you guys know, I want to try a new segment on the podcast. So if you're in the Wisconsin area or familiar with Wisconsin, let me and Claire know. Because I think we want to try. Like, I wanted to do something where we try different restaurants around the city and give it a review on it on the podcast. So you guys suggest go hit me up on Twitter. Hit me or Claire up on Twitter or Facebook and send your suggestion into what restaurant we should go to, and then let us know. Thank you all for listening to this episode of Same Class. My God, I said Same Class. Oh my God, it's the wine. How did I mess up my own podcast name?
Thank you so much for listening to Same Cast, Different Day with our host right over there laughing his head off.
I don't know how I butchered the name of the podcast.
Hold on. We'll do this over again. We'll just have a little fun with this, and that's okay. We'll do a little editing on this one.
We're gonna let it in. We're letting it in.
Okay. By the way, here's our host. Here it is. The hostess with the mostest, Martel Roland.
Oh my God. Okay. Let's try this again. Oh, please, y'all, do not laugh when y'all hear this, because I'm leaving all this in. So please don't laugh. Thank you all for listening to this episode of Same Cast, Different Day podcast. I'm your host, Martel Rolling. Oh my God, I messed up my own name. Oh my God.
And you can check out Martel. I can't even say it. I'm not even drinking.
Oh my God. Oh
okay.
My God. Okay.
So we're having some.
This is like episode like 62 or 63 by now. I should have this down packed by now, and I still don't. Come on.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us for Same Cast, Different Day with our host,
Martel Roland. And you can follow me on Twitter, because I'm back on Twitter. So make sure you go follow me on Twitter, and I will follow you back. And make sure I went back on, like I said at the beginning of the episode, I got back on Twitter to interact with you guys, to be more interactive with you. So you can follow me on Twitter at Martel Roland. You can find me on Instagram at Martel Roland. You can find me on TikTok at Martel Roland. And then you can find me on Facebook. You can like my Facebook page at Martel Roland 1. I think it's on Facebook. And then you can follow the podcast on Instagram, which is, I think it's at SCDD podcast or Same Cast DFNT podcast on Instagram is one of those two. And then don't forget to follow the podcast Facebook page. It's the Same Cast Different Day podcast.
And I am Crystal B. I am located at 3 different social media websites. And if you want to, I'll be working on probably a few more down the road. I will also be kind of helping along the way with Twitter, possibly with Instagram.
Oh, sorry. I'm like tickled myself over here.
I'm Crystal B. I'm Crystal B on Facebook, Miss Care Bear WI at TikTok, and if you wish to hit me up on Snapchat, according to Martel, that is
40 old people.
I'm not an old person. I look like I'm 27. Get out of town. I'm younger than you, buddy. So, all right, you can also check me out on Snapchat at DJ Care Bear 131. This has been a great episode of Same Cast Different Day with the man right over here.
That's me, Martel Roland. Thank y'all for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe and follow the podcast. That really helps out the podcast. And if you're listening on Apple, don't forget to leave us that 5-star review.
We always need those reviews. And coming soon to all you Apple podcasters is After the Cast will be coming soon. Now we're gonna keep on, making you guys wait, but it's coming soon.
It might be more shenanigans like how I just butchered the ending of this podcast like 6 times in a row. It might be shenanigans like that, so make sure you guys tune into that. That'd be called After.
Might have some bloopers, maybe. Who knows what might happen. We really don't know.
That'd be After the Cast coming to Apple.
That'll be fun. That'll be a good time. All right, you guys, have a good one.
Thank y'all for tuning in.